The road to SummerSlam continued last night as Monday Night Raw emanated from Houston with the first appearance of Roman Reigns since his epic return last week. What did the original Tribal Chief have to say amid his intensely personal rivalry with former wise man Paul Heyman? Find out with this recap of a show that also featured the latest from CM Punk, Becky Lynch, Lyra Valkyria, and more top stars from Raw. Hey there, welcome everybody to another edition of Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube and Streamia.com. Today, host Anthony Florio. I am joined this evening by the Phenom, Michael Bullock. We were supposed to, I don't know if we're going to have we are supposed to have a brand new panelist joining us, but I'm not sure if he will be with us tonight, but if he's not, it's okay because we're here. We got it. No worries. And we'll just hopefully have him on with us for another time. But I do want to make a quick announcement here. I have been this past Sunday, good old MF Michael Fletcher messaged me on Facebook, on our Facebook Messenger chat. And I am pleased to announce that good old MF Michael Fletcher will be making his return to our shows 1 week from tonight. So next Tuesday night, Ridiculously Raw, good old MF Michael Fletcher will be back with us. And quite frankly, we can't wait to have him. We miss him, and we wish him well. And we can't wait to have him back with us right here next week. So with all that being said, let's dive right on in. Monday Night Raw, of course, live last night from the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas, the home of the NBA's Houston Rockets. And we started it off, of course, we started it off with a promo segment, as is, the norm. Just give me a moment here. My screen's freezing on me. Okay. It was CM Punk. On the heels of last week's victory in the gauntlet match, new number one contender to Gunther's World Heavyweight Championship, CM Punk opened last night's Raw in a passionate promo that focused primarily on hyping his title opportunity against Ring General at SummerSlam. Punk reminded his opponent that he is not any other number one contender. He's the best in the world. And that brought the champion to the ring for a face-to-face. Gunther claimed the two of them are equals and that they both have massive egos, but his is justified thanks to his accomplishments in the ring. He said, "I'm going to make you regret you ever set foot inside a professional wrestling ring. You will never be the best in the world." Gunther dropped the mic and walked out, ending the segment emphatically as Michael Cole and Corey Graves hyped the marquee match at MetLife Stadium. Punk came across as someone who knows what it takes to win gold, but may have been underselling the magnitude of his opponent, as if the goal is to win the world title rather than defeating Gunther. Like any champion who built momentum by way of a convincing win over a legend, Gunther was a little cocky, but he believed every word he told Punk about his impending downfall at SummerSlam. He is one of the most underrated talkers in WWE this year. So a solid segment to start it off. So not much more to say. Phenom, Michael Bullock, come on in. Your thoughts on this opening promo with CM Punk and the World Heavyweight Champion Gunther as we get closer to their World Heavyweight Championship showdown in the SummerSlam.
Yeah, like you said, I thought this was a good promo too. I mean, obviously, to continue the hype for their world title match at SummerSlam. I mean, some people, think that CM Punk doesn't have a chance, but he always has a history of proving the people wrong, and he wants to prove why he is the best in the world. So we'll see what happens. So a good way to start it off. So with that being said, it's yours, Florio.
All right. And let's get into our first action of the night. A Booker T special No bread, no water, just meat. Sheamus versus Rusev. And the winner of the match in 14 minutes and 50 seconds, Sheamus. Michael Bullock, Sheamus finally gets that Rusev monkey off his back. He finally beats Rusev. He never had before. But last night, Sheamus can say, I finally beat Rusev. 14-50.
And what was this match, Florio?
Not only a Be a Man fight, but a Booker T special, man.
And it was, as
Banger.
Sheamus would say,
banger after banger after banger.
Yeah, damn right it was. And it was everything that it was meant to be. And like you said, Sheamus finally getting that win over Rusev that he's been searching for. So yeah, I mean, big win for him. So the question now is, I mean, what's next for these two? I mean, could we get a rubber match because Florio? Rusev is 1-1. Sheamus is 1-1. You know there's got to be a rubber match.
SummerSlam?
Well, I mean, since this is a 2-night SummerSlam, I would say yes. I mean, if it was still one night, then I would say it's more fitting for a Monday Night Raw. So we'll see. We'll see what they do here. So, but I'm going to give this 3.5 stars because this was indeed a banger of a match. Would you say so, Florio?
Of course. Absolutely. This was another fantastic physical battle in which two of the best strikers in WWE brought punishing offense. There was drama, a few quality teases, and a finish that appropriately played off their past encounter. Is there going to be a story that evolves from these matches, or is this going to be a never-ending series of contests that, while excellent, never result in anything beyond the stellar in-ring content? Not unlike Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes a year ago on SmackDown. It certainly feels like option 2 at this point. But I will give this about 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. Very, very good match, to say the very least. So, with all that being said, we move on now. A triple threat #1 contenders match for the World Tag Team Championship. The New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods versus the Creed brothers, Julius and Brutus Creed, Ivy Nile in their corner, and versus Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro of the LWO, Dragon Lee in their corner. Winners of the match in 9 minutes and 25 seconds. And the new #1 contenders for the World Tag Team Championship, the LWO. Joaquin Wilde, Cruz del Toro. Biggest win of their main roster careers, far and away. Solid 3, teetering on 3.25 stars. I mean, definitely an upset here. No doubt about it. I mean, nobody had the LWO coming out of this. I know I certainly didn't. But alas, they did it. This was a fun match that highlighted the immensely talented tag team division on Monday nights, even if the bouts are beginning to feel a little repetitive. And can WWE officials do enough in the coming weeks to convince fans that the LWO has a chance to dethrone Finn Balor and JD McDonough of the Judgment Day? The use of Dragon Lee and the involvement of El Grande Americano was interesting, but it would have meant even more for the winners to have won fair and clean and without the abundance of chicanery that accompanied it. So I'm going to give it a solid 3 stars for the effort. So not much more to say here. So Michael Bullock, surprising outcome. Cruz del Toro, Joaquin Wilde. They're about to have the biggest match of their careers whenever that is, when they challenge Finn Balor and JD McDonough for the World Tag Team Championship.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I mean, I certainly, as heck, did not have the LWO winning it. I thought for sure it was going to be the New Day or the Creed brothers. But no, they they put the LWO over here. And like you said, the biggest win for them. And now they get a shot at the World Tag Team title somewhere down the line. What was the time again, Florio?
9:25.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this an even 3 stars for this bout here. So yeah, nothing more to say. So let's move on.
How about another promo from Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria? How about that?
Yeah, and yeah, that
in the
and
arena.
Now there are some
Let me set
added
it up.
things for this.
Yeah, I just want to set this up. In the arena, Women's Intercontinental Champion Becky Lynch took to the squared circle for an in-ring promo. She said, "I should be in New York at the premiere of my new movie, Happy Gilmore 2, but instead I'm in Houston, Texas." She accused Lyra Valkyria of gatekeeping championship shots and called her out. The former champion took her up on the offer and joined her former friend and protege in the ring. A back and forth resulted in a no count out, no disqualification match for the Women's Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam, with the stipulation that Lyra Valkyria can never again challenge for the title if she loses. She accepted before delivering her own version of the manhandle slam to Becky to put an exclamation point on things. Well, okay, Bullock, something's got to give here. Lyra wins. She gets the title back, obviously, but she loses. She can no longer challenge for the Women's Intercontinental Championship, and there will be no excuses, no countouts, no disqualifications. There must and will be a winner in the SummerSlam.
Yeah, and basically, I mean, it's almost like, and I think Lyra proposed it just to make sure that Becky doesn't get a cheap win. I mean, and that way, if she does lose, she doesn't have any excuses to make. So, but yeah, now, and of course, if Lyra loses, she can no longer challenge for the Women's Intercontinental Championship again. So I think the pressure's more on Lyra Valkyria. So and Becky's got nothing to lose except for the Intercontinental Championship. So why do I got this weird feeling because of this added thing? I think Lyra's going to go over. Why do I got this feeling?
I would not be surprised. I could see it.
I mean, I think it's gotta be Lyra here because I mean, now if the stipulation wasn't added, I'd say Becky retains. But with this being added to it, I think Lyra goes over. And plus, she needs a big time win. I mean, in her singles career, especially at one of the biggest pay-per-view events of the year, into SummerSlam. Wouldn't you say that, Florio, as I give it to you?
Yes. Lyra Valkyria's mic performance has developed recently, but devoid of any real character or story progression. She has struggled to get the fans on her side in recent weeks. The match between her and Becky at SummerSlam will be an absolute banger and could be a dark horse candidate for the best match on the card. And let's also not forget one other thing here, and that is every result, not just that match, but every result of SummerSlam is going to have a big time effect on the future of this company, because after SummerSlam is over, we start getting ready for the fall season. And we know what the fall season brings. So, and there could be a draft coming. I don't know. I've heard a possibility of sometime after SummerSlam, they might be doing the draft. Shakeups. So what happens at SummerSlam is going to be very telling of what the fall and beyond is going to be like. So, but anyways, fine segment. I mean, I mean, it's been done. We've seen it, and And that's all there is to it. So not much more to say there. So we move on now. The WWE Women's Tag Team Championships on the line. The champions representing the Judgment Day, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez, with the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion Dominic Mysterio in their corner, defending against Lyra Valkyria and Bayley. Winners of the match in 14 minutes and 15 seconds, not 50, 15. 14-15, the winners of the match, and still the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. This was another solid 3.5-star match. This flirted with the old bowling shoe ugly tag Jim Ross popularized when discussing disjointed matchups at points down the stretch, but it recovered nicely to stick the landing. Bayley definitely appears headed towards a heel turn, with the desperation to be champion and lack of relief ultimately being her downfall. Lyra Valkyria versus Roxanne Perez is a match that should headline a PLE somewhere down the line. Their chemistry is undeniable, and they have done that dance before. WWE would be incredibly out of touch not to run that match back at some point. Solid 3.5 stars. I could have said teetering on 3 3/4, but we did get some overbooking at the end there. I mean, with the action broke down late for better and worse, culminating with Dominic Mysterio's attempted interference, a cameo from AJ Styles, a sneak attack from Becky Lynch to Lyra Valkyria at ringside, and the Tejada bomb from Rodriguez that earned her and Perez the successful title defense. So, but I'm still going to give it 3.5 stars. It was still a very good match. I just can't go any higher than that because of the overbooking there. So, not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, your thoughts on all this? 14-15, the time of the fall.
3.5 stars is for me as well. I mean, it wouldn't have made sense for them to lose the titles, especially since they're going to have a title defense against the unlikely team of Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair at SummerSlam. I mean, it wouldn't have made sense to put the titles on Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, and you saw on Twitter earlier in the day when the match was announced. I mean, Bayley was excited about it, Florio, but Lyra, on the other hand, she was not too happy about it. She's like, "What? After everything me and Bayley have been going through with, I've now got a partner with this bitch." Yeah, you could just. It's almost like you could tell. I mean, it's like, and we've seen this lately, Florio, that everything. I mean, this attitude of Lyra is it's gone the way we expect it. And I don't know about you, and we talked about this last week, Florio. Everything Lyra's doing is almost heelish. I mean, wouldn't you agree on that?
That's what I've been saying. That's what I've been preaching the last few weeks. Yes.
And, well, I get you saying Bayley should turn heel. I still believe, with the way Lyra's been going lately, I think a heel turn for her should do her wonders.
I agree.
Because
one of them's turning. turning.
I think it's got to be Lyra because of the way she's been acting, and I think Bayley's she's just loved by the fans. I mean, especially with some of the things they say about her. And so I think, I mean, would I be surprised if Bayley turned heel? I wouldn't, but if you're going to ask me my honest opinion, Florio, I think Lyra has a better chance of turning heel than Bayley. But you never know. We'll see. So 3.5 stars. I agree with the rating. Let's move on.
Okay. Next up on the fight card, it was a return match from the Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. Sami Zayn one-on-one with Karrion Kross, and where Karrion Kross goes, that beautiful angel, that beautiful dark angel Scarlet is right there with him. Winner of the match, 10 minutes and 5 seconds. It was Karrion Kross. And surprise, surprise, Bullock, it was Scarlett who was the difference maker.
Yeah, she was indeed the difference maker, but I know you're not going to go against her, especially with how much you adore her.
Darn tootin'.
Yeah. I'm going to give this 2 3/4. I mean, I can't give it the full 3 because, as you just said, Scarlett did get involved in the match, but the fans are really behind Karrion Kross, and as soon as he got the win, it's like everybody was happy for her. So hopefully this is the beginning of bigger and better things for Karrion Kross. So 2 3/4 of a star. I can't give it the full 3 because of Scarlett's interference. So it's yours, Florio.
I'm actually gonna give it the 3 on this one. Karrion Kross finally gets a big win in a way that is true to his character in the ongoing story with Sami Zayn. A perfect creative call that helps all involved, including the massively over Karrion Kross. Sami Zayn is the perfect opponent to help elevate Karrion Kross in that he is a selfless performer who goes out of his way to make his opposition look credible and legitimate. That was on full display here. So, solid 3. That's the best I can go. So I could have given it 3 1/4, but I'm bumping it down to 3. So not much more to say except when it comes to in-ring action, this was the final match of the night. We all remember that it was that Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. We got this as a surprise. Well, not much of a surprise, but they decided to run it back, and boy, are we glad they did. Io Sky squaring off against Stephanie Vaquer. And unfortunately, just like the night after WrestleMania, this match ends in a no contest in 15 minutes and 50 seconds. Even with all the silliness, it was the fight of the night. I got to give it at least 4 because this match was way too good. And 2 of the best wrestlers in WWE ran it back last night in a rematch from their post-WrestleMania showdown as former Women's World Champion Io Sky battled Stephanie Vaquer. Like their first encounter, this was all about giving the WWE Universe a taste of the excellence that is Stephanie Vaquer versus Io Sky. This never reached the quality of their post-Mania showdown, but it still highlighted the extraordinary performers and left fans wanting more. Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, and Stephanie Vaquer versus Chelsea Green, Alba Fire, and Piper Niven, the Secret Service, is a ready-made 6-woman tag match for the go-home show of Monday Night Raw next week in Detroit, if the creative direction calls for it. So, even with the interference by Chelsea and the Secret Service, I'm not going to punish it because the match was too damn good. I can't do it. So, solid 4 stars. Fight of the night, despite the clunky finish, but the match was just too damn good. And one of these days, those 2 will get a proper match. I guarantee you. It could possibly be Clash in Paris. It very well could be. So, we'll see. Solid 4 for me. Fight of the night. Michael Bullock. Yes, I know we had Chelsea and the Secret Service. I get it. But this match
Naomi.
was just too damn good.
Yeah, like you said, it was. You know me in the past, Florio. I've always said it's an NA when there's a no contest. But as you just said, this match was too damn good to give it an NA. It's a 4-star match, even with the clunky finish. So, yeah, we'll see what happens as obviously they continue this build for that women's world title match, a triple threat at SummerSlam. So there's really nothing more to say except it's on to the final segment of the night.
Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed made their way to the ring for the show closing segment, but the Oracle found himself interrupted by his former tribal chief, Roman Reigns. The OTC made its way to the ring, showing no fear in the face of a numbers disadvantage. Heyman greeted him, claiming, "I never want to be disrespectful or rude," because the WrestleMania 41 betrayal was not both of those things. A master manipulator, Heyman claimed they could fix their issues, especially in the wake of Seth Rollins missing several months due to his recent knee injury. "You'll always be my family because I love you, my tribal chief," he said. Reigns then said, "You're not a wise man anymore. You're just a dumbass," speaking to Breaker. And then speaking to Breaker, he said, "A few years from now, when you're the man around here, he's going to take all the credit." And then Reigns added, "You couldn't create the bloodline. No, that was God's work." And then Breaker stepped between Reigns and Heyman. "I'm the big dog now. I'm the top dog now. I'm the future of WWE. I'm the man around here now," he said. The competitors came to blows, with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker beating down Roman Reigns. But Jey Uso made the save, drawing a huge pop and clearing out the heels to close the show. And then, if you noticed earlier today on social media, on Twitter, Roman Reigns had a lengthy post, and he's basically issuing the challenge. SummerSlam, Roman Reigns and Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed in a tag team match. Playa, holla.
And you saw what he said saying the ball's in your court, Jay.
Yeet on that. So, Wallach, nothing left to say. Segment of the night for me.
Yeah, this was the segment of the night. I mean, Heyman, of course, he wanted to be trying to work his way towards Roman again, but Roman wasn't going to have any of that nonsense. That's why he said, "You're not a wise man. You're a dumbass." And of course, the bloodline helped me win those titles, not you. The Usos, Solo Sikoa, and even Sami Zayn. So, and you're just and you're the reason why I lost it. And then what happened after that? Yeah, you basically did nothing. So and obviously they tried to get a cheap shot in, but Jey Uso made the save. And like you said earlier today, the challenge was made. And well, number one, we got to see if the opposite side agrees to it. And number two is, will Jey Uso accept being the partner? So, well, I think there's one word to describe if he will accept. Ready, Florio? Yeah, exactly. 1, 2, 3. Yee! That's what I think it's gonna be. It's gonna be a yee on that. And I don't know if you saw, Florio, even on Instagram after the show went off the air, the tribal chief even yeeted as well.
Yes, he did. I saw it.
I mean, oh my goodness, I can't believe he did it. So segment of the night. Awesome. It's yours, Florio.
Segment of the night. And with that, we are one step closer to a big-time tag team match at SummerSlam, pitting Roman Reigns and Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Roman Reigns was great on the mic and flirted with the fine line between acknowledging the fans and pandering to them. Braun Breaker continues to stand out every week, moving another step closer to the big breakout we knew was coming the moment he made his NXT debut. Segment of the night for me. Overall thoughts? Hey, I got to say solid 8 out of 10 for me. Roman Reigns' first appearance since his return last week was the big selling point for the show. And for the most part, the final segment was a hit. Anything else that was strong was merely the cherry on top of the sundae. The continued spotlight on the women's division, the hilarious means in which AJ Styles encountered Dominic Mysterio, and another strong effort from Sheamus and Rusev made this show a quality show, even if it wasn't quite to the level of the last two. Expect an even more focused broadcast next week as WWE puts the final touches on the road to SummerSlam, where Monday Night Raw's go-home show will emanate from the Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, Michigan. So solid 8 out of 10 is my rating for it. So with that being said, Michael Bullock, let's get your overall thoughts, and then we'll dive into tonight's NXT.
Yeah, solid 8 out of 10 for me as well. I mean, yeah, they're putting the final touches on as we continue on the road to SummerSlam. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this road plays out. So, with that being said, Florio, let's get into tonight's edition of NXT.
All right, here we go. TNA Slammiversary not only saw Trick Williams retain the TNA Heavyweight Championship against Mike Santana and Joe Hendry, but we also saw NXT Women's Champion Jacy Jayne win the TNA Knockouts Championship from Masha Slamovich. The crossovers between TNA and WWE continue to be a big part of both brands, but whether it will benefit both in the end remains to be seen. Tonight's show saw both champions return to NXT to celebrate their wins and much more. Let's take a look at what happened on tonight's show. And this was a special show tonight. One of those special on the road shows where they step outside of their traditional. Of course, we all know that they're always live from the CWC, the Capitol Wrestling Center. Well, tonight they were live at the 713 Music Hall in Houston, Texas. And we started it off with an 8-person mixed tag team matchup. NXT Women's North American Champion Sol Ruca, Zarya, and the NXT Tag Team Champions Hank and Tank squaring off against all 4 members of the Culling: Izzy Dame, Tatum Paxley, Shawn Spears, and Nico Vance. The winners of the match in 10 minutes and 54 seconds, it was the Culling. The Culling pick up the big win. All right.
But they didn't do it by themselves.
No, indeed not. Booker T came out on the stage and gave the show a special introduction, which included him messing up Blake Monroe's name, and he announced this 8-person mixed tag match before he joined Vic Joseph and Corey Graves at the ringside announce table. So the match had a quick pace, frequent tags, and a lot of multi-person spots, but it also suffered from everyone trying to move too fast sometimes. It led to a few mistakes that didn't necessarily ruin the match, but certainly made it look like there wasn't enough planning ahead of time. We returned from a break to see the Culling controlling the pace. The crowd chanted, "This is awesome," following a nice sequence involving most of the competitors in the match, but the biggest pop came when Zarya slammed Shawn Spears. Dark State made an appearance, and it was enough of a distraction for Tatum Paxley to pin Zarya for the win. So I'm going to give this about 3 to 3.25. I was leaning towards 3.25, but I'm bumping it down to 3 because of that Dark State distraction. But a solid opening 8-person mixed tag. Crowd definitely liked it. I enjoyed it for the most part. So yeah, not much more to say. Big win for the Culling. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, the Culling, winning this 8-person mixed tag to kick it off here tonight on NXT, on the special NXT in Houston. Time of the fall, you muted your mic. Time of the fall, 10:54.
I'll give this 3 as well. I mean, yeah, the Dark State interference really took away from it, but yeah, big win for the Culling, even with the interference. So yeah, there's really nothing more for me to say on it. So it's yours, Florio.
All right, Bullock, you'll lead off on our next match here. Or actually, no, I'm sorry. We have an in-ring segment. The double champion, the NXT Women's and new TNA Knockouts champion, Jacy Jayne, came out to celebrate her big win with her Fatal Influence sisters, Fallon Henley and Jasmine Nix, by her side. The crowd chanted Jacy 2 belts before she bragged about being a double champion. But the segment, the Fatal Influence were interrupted by Lash Legend and Jada Parker, and then not much to celebrate as Lash Legend and Jada Parker got the last word, and it was announced that next week on NXT that it will be Lash Legend going one-on-one with Fallon Henley, and Jada Parker will go one-on-one with Jasmine Nix. All right, Bullock, another week and another revolving door segment here.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, both of those women they want a shot at JC Jane and the title. So yeah, I mean, well, we'll see what I'm sure there's going to be a match to determine who gets the shot at JC Jane and the NXT title. So nothing more to say. It's yours, Florio.
Even though JC Jane was in full heel mode, the crowd was fully behind her. It didn't take long for Lash Legend to interrupt her. Jada Parker also came out and ended up turning into a fight. The segment ended with Legend and Parker having a bit of a standoff. So the new double champion ended up not even being the main attraction at the end of her celebration segment. The promo from JC Jane was the usual heel stuff, but she did a good job with it. You could tell she was really excited to hold both titles. So not much more to say on that. So moving on to our next matchup, as it was Ricky Saints squaring off against Jasper Troy. Jasper Troy wins the match via a countout in 10 minutes and 45 seconds. Well, I'll sum it up by saying it was a match that was hampered mostly by the ramp breaking too early. And Jasper Troy was actually smiling a little during his entrance. It might be the first time we have seen that since he debuted in NXT. And one of Ricky Saints' best qualities is his selling ability. He is great at looking like he is in immense pain. And nice win for Jasper Troy. And in an interesting and a solid matchup here, I'm going to give this about another 3 to 3 1/4 for the effort. So not much more to say. Michael Bullock, Jasper Troy defeating Ricky Saints 10 minutes and 45 seconds via a countout. We don't get countout victories that often.
Well, we did here. So yeah, I'll give this about maybe 3 1/4 on this one. So yeah, Jasper Troy gets the win, even though it was via a countout. But yeah, another big step for him now that he's in NXT. So with that being said, Florio, we move on to another segment, and I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this one.
And it's only fitting you lead off on this. In-ring segment, TNA World Heavyweight Champion Trick Williams came to the ring for his segment with The Undertaker, but before the dead man showed up, Trick bragged about retaining his TNA Heavyweight Championship this past Sunday night at Slammiversary, defeating Mike Santana and Joe Hendry. He mentioned Taker and seemed to smirk to indicate he wasn't taking it seriously, that he was coming to NXT to confront him. The dead man arrived to the fans chanting his name before he said Williams was a dead man walking. He said Trick had everything except his respect. He tried to give the TNA champion some advice to fix his attitude. Things got a little tense and Trick started to look intimidated. He tried to punch Taker, but ended up eating a choke slam instead. All right, Bullock, go ahead and wax poetic on this.
What's the old saying, Florio? Especially when it comes to what Trick Williams was supposed to do.
I'm gonna let you feel that one.
Well, Trick, remember what I told you? Keep your words soft and sweet, because you might have to eat those words later. And here you were bragging around like a little bitch that you are, and calling The Undertaker soft? Nah, honey. No. The only person that's soft around here is you.
SAWFT short.
Yeah, or let's do it the traditional way for you. Trick Williams, there's only one word to describe you. And Florio and I, we're going to spell it out for you. SAWFT. Soft. Yeah. And then you try to call out Taker. Well, careful what you wish for, boy. And Taker was giving you a chance to basically, well, he gave you some advice to, because like you said, the only thing you don't have is respect. And he said you're not the same Trick Williams that you when you were the NXT champion. Yeah, and then you were like that. Not even Taker or his LFG team, NXT or anybody is a star like Trick Williams. And Taker's like, you know what? You want to dance, and when they do it in a match, he's gonna make him famous. And then you try to go for a cheap shot. You got to choke slam all the way to the outskirts of hell. Let that be a lesson to you, boy. Do not, and I repeat, do not ever mess with the Dead Man or the American Badass Undertaker, because what you got tonight could happen to you again if you decide to try to challenge Taker again. And you just got whooped big time. It's yours, Florio.
This was exactly how everyone expected this to end. Trick Williams needs to lean more into his heel side. He still seems like he wants to be liked when he should be acting like he doesn't care about anyone. And you heard the gong, and I thought for a minute, oh my God, are they going to bring him back as the Dead Man? But no, he still has his American Badass song. So, but anyways, great to see The Undertaker. And, I'm going to criticize it just a little. I mean, was I happy to see The Undertaker? Abso-freaking-lutely. Why wouldn't you be? That's from a personal side. From the professional side, it wasn't a bad segment, but it wasn't necessarily good either. I thought it was pretty down the middle. But at the end of the day, though, great to see The Undertaker. And I know for Bullock, this was his segment of the night for sure. This was the one thing on tonight's show that he had the most vested interest in of anything on this show, even though he is a full-on NXT guy. So, but anyways, great to see The Undertaker, and fun. It was a fun segment for me personally, but like I said, down the middle, professionally. So, not much more to say on that. We do have a cutout here. Blake Monroe making her NXT in-ring singles debut. She went one-on-one with the no-quarter catch crew's Ren Sinclair. Blake Monroe wins the match, 2 minutes and 56 seconds. Short, one-sided bout designed to make Blake Monroe look good. It worked, but the match itself was nothing to write home about. It was a 1-star effort. And as Blake Monroe tried to give a post-match promo, Jordynne Grace fought her way through security to get to the ring. She took out several Gestapo security guards before Blake Monroe hit a DDT onto a chair. And it made no sense to have Blake Monroe try to act like a babyface at first. She is so much more natural as a heel. And Ren Sinclair's entrance was not shown, which is never a good sign. She basically got the jobber entrance here. So, not much more to say on that. Solid 1-star. Easily the worst fight of the night. All right. Then we had another in-ring segment. Ethan Page came out to brag about still being the North American champion. There was a table with what was clearly a new title belt next to him. He threw the old North American championship out of the ring and revealed a custom Canadian North American Championship he had made for a new belt.
Now that is an ugly ass title.
Professionally, I do agree with you on that. But if we, like I said in our messenger chat, if we had a funny commentary moment, me being the heel commentator, I would have ate every one of that. I would have ate every second of that up. And I would have said, that's the best North American title I've ever seen.
Yeah, but
much
in this
needed
case,
makeover.
but in this case, professionally, yeah, that is just one ugly ass title.
Yeah, I know not everybody. I know that belt's not going to be for everybody, but great way to get him heel heat. But who ends up showing up after that? The director of authority for TNA Wrestling, Santino Marella. You son of my God. Santino Marella came out to a nice pop to confront Ethan Page. He said Page does not speak for Canadians and ripped into him. Santino ended up pulling out the Cobra and made Ethan Page retreat. Segment was fine, but the crowd chanting so much and causing the network to censor it made it hard to get into any of what Ethan Page was saying. The crowd booed the reveal of the Canadian flags in the ring. The CW was forced to censor a lot of profane chants, so a large portion of Ethan Page's promo could not be heard. But next week on NXT, Ethan Page will defend the North American Championship against Santino Marella. Holy hell, if Santino Marella wins the North American Championship. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine if Santino Marella walks out of the CWC next week? The director of authority of TNA Wrestling walking out with the North American Championship? Oh, that would definitely give TNA a shot in the arm, considering their top two titles are both in the hands of NXT talents. So if TNA gets on the board with this, whoa, that makes this that definitely adds a little more excitement to this. So, but yeah, so we'll see what happens next week. All right, let's quickly set the table for next week's show. Then there a lot of backstage stuff, and then Bully Ray got in the middle of a no quarter catch crew argument. He says he was gonna talk to Ava to have Tavion Heights versus Charlie Dempsey. Tavion wins. He's out. He can leave the NQCC, but if he loses, he has to stay in the no quarter catch crew with a smile on his face. So the only thing I can confirm for next week is that we will see Ethan Page and Santino Marella for that North American title. Yeah. All right. Hang on 1 second here. Okay. And that leads us to the main event of the evening, a triple threat match for the NXT Championship. The champion Obafemi squaring off against both Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura. Winner of the match, 9 minutes and 34 seconds, and still the NXT champion. No big surprise. It is Obafemi. 3 to 3.25 stars. You can make an argument that it easily ended up stealing the show just due to the physicality and intensity from the competitors. It felt like everyone viewed this as an important match and made sure to give it their all. Obafemi was able to get the win and retain his title by taking advantage of Briggs and Inamura being unable to work together anymore. As soon as it was over, Briggs ran Inamura over with a running boot. Kind of weird to see Briggs and Inamura working together after their recent issues. Femi kicking out so hard that he sent Inamura onto Briggs for a cover was a fun moment. And it's a sad day when someone hits a chokeslam that looks way better than The Undertaker's, but Briggs did it in this match. And then speaking of The Undertaker, they closed it with a backstage moment where he approached Javon Evans and wondered if Evans figured out what to do next with his notes. And Taker told Evans to go after the biggest dog in the yard. What could that possibly mean? So
that means go after the current champion, Obafemi.
or Trick Williams, maybe. I don't know. But we shall find out.
Well, he said the biggest dog.
That this is true. Perhaps it is over. So we shall see. 3 to 3.25 stars is my rating for this. I'm teetering on 3.5 if I wanted to. So not much more to say. Bullock, predictable outcome. We all knew Oba was going to win this. He wins it in 9:34 against Briggs and Inamura.
Yeah, 3.25. The outcome was never in doubt with the champion retaining. So, yeah, and it's almost like Javon Evans at the end got a little motivation from The Undertaker, and I think it looks like he's going to go after Obafemi. So
we shall see.
We'll see what happens. So
overall thoughts?
3.25. As far as my overall thoughts, I mean, I'll say, it was solid, but not overly spectacular. I mean, you did have a cutout there, and some of the matches were good, but I mean, it could have been better. Absolutely, it could have. So, I'll give this an excess of 6.5. So it's yours, Florio.
Yeah, that's about right. Tonight's NXT probably looks like a pretty standard episode on paper. It had some matches, some promos, and a few fights to set up future matches. However, tonight's show had a lot of hiccups that caused it to be poorly planned and a little rushed, especially when the bigger mistakes occurred. The ramp breaking under Ricky Saints while the camera was on Jasper Troy ruined what was supposed to be the big moment in their bout. Booker T messing up Blake Monroe's name was the kind of mistake he should not be making at this point. As much as I love him on commentary, he is a regular laugh riot. And Ethan Page's promo being so censored due to chants made the whole segment hard to watch. Most of what we got in the ring was uneventful or predictable, but everyone seemed to be putting in a lot of effort. Main event was the highlight of the night with the three powerhouses fighting over the NXT Championship. So I will agree with Bullock on this rating. This was a solid 6 to 6.5 out of 10. So with that will put the bow on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. Of course, I do have an update on future content, and this is how it goes. As you all know, starting this week, TXN Sports World will be going on a hiatus for the next month or so. TXN Sports World will be back on Thursday night, August 21st, as we will preview the college football and NFL seasons. That will serve as the season finale of our regulation shows. So, well, actually, no, hold on one second. Now I just remembered something, actually. Considering that the Big Three is going to be taking place this Saturday, and our next show is not till Saturday, I'll explain in a second. I'm going to do a quick recap and preview for the Big Three. This past Sunday, they were at the Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, Michigan, the home of the Detroit Red Wings and the Detroit Pistons, which is where Monday Night Raw will be this Monday night as the go-home show for SummerSlam. And here are the scores from last week's action. In Game 1, we saw the Los Angeles Riot defeat the Chicago Triplets. They smashed them 50-30. Easily the most impressive performance. They outscored them in the first half 26-7. Game number 2, it was the Dallas Power defeating my Miami 305 50-47 was the final there. In the third game, the hometown Detroit Amps losing to the previously winless DMV Trilogy. The DMV Trilogy pick up their first win of the season, defeating the hometown Detroit Amps 51-45. And in the final game of the day, it was the Boston Ball Hogs defeating the Houston Rig Hands 51-40. Let me just break it down for you. The Riot improved to 3-2. Triplets dropped to 3-2. Power improved to 3-2. 305 dropped to 3-2. Trilogy on the board at 1-4. Detroit Amps go to 3-2. And the Boston Ball Hogs are 3-2. And the Houston Rig Hands are 1-4. We have 6 teams. It's an 8-team league, but 6 of them are all 3-2. 6 teams at 3-2, if you can imagine that. And the other 2 teams at 1-4, DMV and Houston. So those were the scores from from this past week. The next set of games will come to you this Saturday, July 26th, from the Heritage Bank Center in Cincinnati, Ohio, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern on CBS. The first game will feature, you could say, an unofficial rematch of last season's Big Three championship game. The Houston Righhands, formerly Bivouac, the defending champions, versus the Miami 305, formerly Three's Company. But it will be the Houston Righhands versus the Miami 305 in the first game. Second game on CBS around 2 o'clock or so, the Los Angeles Riot squaring off against the Detroit Amps. Third, and then the other two games will be exclusively on Vice TV around 3 o'clock or so. The DMV Trilogy will square off against the Dallas Power. And in the final game of the night, or the day rather, it will be the Boston Ball Hogs squaring off against the Chicago Triplets. So there's your quick Big Three report. And now that will put the bow on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We once again want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. As always, we will be back with you again on Saturday night. Now, here's what's going to happen. Of course, you already know about TXN Sports World. It's going on a hiatus. We'll be back with that on August 21 for our regulation season finale when we preview the college football and NFL seasons. Normally, it would be Friday night for the Cerebral Smack Talk. However, myself, Michael Bullock, and our dear friend Mike Silvera, we will be heading up to the Ryan Center at the University of Rhode Island in Kingston, Rhode Island, for a TNA Impact taping that's going down this Friday night. So because of that, and because it's going to be late, it's going to be a long and late night, we will not be doing the Cerebral Smack Talk on Friday night. That show will be bumped to Saturday night. We're going to bypass the TNA Impact review, and we are going to solely focus on TNA Slammiversary and Friday Night SmackDown. That will be on Saturday night, time to be determined. And then from there, 1 week from tonight, we do it all over again as we get into SummerSlam week. Ridiculously Raw, as we will get into Monday Night Raw's go-home show for SummerSlam and NXT as we start the road to NXT's next premium live event, NXT Heatwave, that will take place on Sunday night, August the 24th. And that is that. So that's it. So until Saturday night for the special Saturday night edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk, this is Anthony Florio here for the Phenom, Michael Bullock, and in spirit, of course, good old MF, Michael Fletcher. Continued thoughts and prayers with him and his family. And of course, same can be said for our other panelists, of course, in spirit, the one and only First Lady of Talking Wrestling TXN, the one and only Twisted Angel Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune Forest style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed rest of your week. And until Saturday night for that special Saturday edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.